This video is for CYBR332 computer security at Metropolitan State University. My name is Alex Bijacolin and my instructor's name is Jennifer Grant. This video is only for educational purposes. I'm not liable for damages caused using these demonstrations. All right, so my presentation is on phishing. What is phishing? Phishing is a way to, basically maliciously trick somebody into doing something so they can gain information or money about you. They're basically exploiting people or a bunch of people. One of the most common ways it's implemented is via email. It can also be implemented in different ways too. They can get your email by either guessing, searching the internet for the @ symbol. I mean, if you use the internet and use your email to sign up for certain services or accounts, or just have it posted on the internet, you're susceptible to these phishing attempts. Another way they can get it is by trading with other attackers. So they'll trade each other's lists. Otherwise, they can pay organizations that actually have your email, and the organization will give them whatever email list they can have or that they do have. So that's kind of why it's important to pay attention to, whatever things you're signing up for to make sure they can't sell your information. So as I mentioned, one of the types of phishing is email phishing, but there's some more types too. I'm just going to go over a couple of them. There's spear phishing, which is basically targeting somebody very specifically. So it could be an executive at an organization or somebody in an IT department that has credentials to log into something very important, or just anybody who might even have power at that said organization. There's also smishing, which is basically phishing via text messaging. So there's many different types. So phishing is typically implemented when whatever hacker sends emails. They'll send emails to thousands or millions of users or whatever, people they can, whoever they have on a list, and they'll use actions that are typically very deceptive they'll try and trick you to either enter your information, click a link, download something, or just input any information like social security number, bank information. Commonly, they also use scare tactics. As I just mentioned, they can gain lots of personal information like your social security number, address, bank information, like your credit card, your account number, PIN number. They can get your security questions for some of your important accounts like social media or even your banking information too. There's multiple ways they can get it. They can gain your passwords, and they can also gain computer access via malware. Phishing, you can identify phishing by many different ways. Sometimes it's easier than others. You got to look at the email that the sender sent. See if it looks legitimate. Is the information in it too good to be true? Usually a lot of times they'll send you an offer or a reward saying if you reply within, however many minutes or hours or days, you'll get a super good reward, like $30,000 if you fill out this form, but they're just trying to get your information. Does it know anything about you, or does it seem super generic? So that's like another way. Usually they'll only say, have your email, and they'll say hi, and then your email, and that's all they know about you, really. They don't really even know your name. They can, I don't know. And then I just mentioned another way is if it requires an urgent response from you. So that's the reward thing. If you respond in this so many minutes or hours, then they want you to do it as quickly as possible so you don't think about it. They want you to just make like a snap judgment, because people are less likely to think if they don't have as much time. Because I mean, if you think about it, if you have a chance at $30,000, you're less likely to think it over, and you're like more likely to make more dumb, less informed decisions. But one other way is to just look at the grammar of the email. A lot of times, I don't know exactly why the people who send them, or the attackers, can't get the grammar correctly. I don't know if English isn't their best language or whatever, but their grammar isn't correct. So that's like a really easy way to determine it. As I mentioned a little earlier, email phishing is a really common way for attackers to get your information or do whatever they want to do if they can do it right, I guess. So there's a lot of bits to this example email right here that may seem like, I mean, it has the logo, it looks somewhat convincing to somebody who's unsuspecting or somebody who just doesn't really know what phishing is. So right here, if we look at the sender's email, it does say Bank of America. However, the email that it was sent from, it says something at comcast.net, and it shouldn't say that. That's like somebody's personal email. So that's one reason you can tell. Another reason is there's lots of inconsistency in fonts, grammar, and capitalization. So if you look here, this M should be capitalized if it were somebody's name, but this is just an example. So right here, it says, please sign in to, and then your account is lowercase and not bolded, or not lowercase, but not as big of a font. And then this link here was disguised to look like a link. It's actually not, it's just blue text with an underlined and bolded, it looks like. But when you hover your mouse over it, it shows that it is in fact a different link, and it's not bankofamerica.com. And then there's just grammatical errors like a comma and then a capital A. So you just gotta look for those things. Spear phishing is targeted towards certain individuals or businesses in order to gain access to lots of money or their like an organization's account, so they can perform malicious actions against that company for their own gain. We'll go over this a little later, but it can be really catastrophic if the attackers can attack the right people. So smishing is basically the same thing over email, but it's or that was done in email, but this is via text message. It looks pretty convincing, but there's some things that you can kind of look at that are still detectable. So one thing that I kind of noticed about this one was that the URL right here doesn't quite look like something that would be from American Express. You can see there's a -message.com. I'm pretty sure theirs would probably just be americanexpress.com. So there's that. Largely, phishing is done with social engineering, which is basically manipulating a situation socially to make it seem, urgent, or creating trust with a person, or scaring them into doing something, or even offering a reward. So like socially, the person is less aware of what they're doing. There's lots of ways to protect against phishing, like just knowing what it is, knowing what to look for. Lots of companies will educate their workforce on just what it is, and like they'll make them do trainings if they fail certain tests about phishing. Some good rules of thumb are like, don't click links if you don't know the sender. Like if it looks even a little weird, it's best not to perform any actions on it. Another one is a spam filter. I know lots of email, probably all modern email systems have it. I know Gmail has it, Outlook has it, but those filter out most of it. There's only some that they can't get. So you could enable malware protection to protect your computer in case you actually do click one of the links. This will better protect yourself and your computer against certain attacks. And then I don't know how new it is, but it seems a little newer to me. Two-factor authentication, which is what this 2FA is. It's a way to secure your account. So if somebody does get your password and username, they will need a second form of authentication to log into your account. So commonly, like I know, my workplace does this. You log in with your password, and then they will text message you a code. Then you'd have to type in that code on to the login portal where you're logging in. And it's also, implemented in other areas too, like ATMs. You need your card, but you also need your PIN. You need two forms of security, I guess. And then there's also like biometrics could double as another form of authentication. So you can type in your password and then also implement like a, either like a face scan or a thumbprint or whatever. So there's lots of different forms of two-factor authentication that you can use to protect your accounts, and lots of services offer this nowadays, like Google does. So this is an example of a pretty dangerous phishing attack. 2020 in July, a group of hackers targeted Twitter employees. They called certain Twitter employees asking for, they were posing as help desk employees. And I think they were inquiring about VPNs or something, and they were able to gain access to some Twitter employees' login information for an internal website that kind of let them know more about the Twitter information systems, because the first people that they successfully targeted, they didn't have access to the internal tools that they needed to get whatever accounts they were attempting to hijack. So what they did was they stole the first people's credentials, and they were able to learn more about what the Twitter's intranet websites, and it contained lots of valuable resources and how to access other applications within Twitter's environments. So after they did that, they were able to target people that actually did have the credentials. And here's an example tweet, is from one account that they hijacked. They hijacked Bill Gates, Apple, I think, Kim Kardashian, and some other verified users. So basically, they did this and asked for, Bitcoin to a certain address, which is right here. Oops. And they claimed that they would send them double, and they actually made out with, I think, around $118,000, because, to unsuspecting people, it worked. They didn't think it was too good to be true. So it's very dangerous on Twitter's part, and just proves why cybersecurity is such an important thing to invest in. So now I'm just going to share a few different examples of some emails that I've received. Gotta find the right screen. Share this one. All right, so this is one example that I've received. It did go to my spam filter, but I know I've received other ones similar to my normal inbox, but this one is basically claiming they're a hacker, and well, I believe them in that way, but they are trying to get money from me because they're basically trying to scare me. And they want to frame me as a cyber criminal. They're saying they have access to all my devices, and they're gonna report me to the federal government if I don't give them money. So here's their Bitcoin address. So there's that one. That's kind of more along the scare tactics. And then this one claims to be a very nice older woman. She says she's dying and she wants to give somebody her money. So I mean, it's just too good to be true. So, and Google's banned it, or they filtered it out and even lets you know that it's dangerous. Not something I'd fall for anyway, but here's one. It looks like they were trying to impersonate Walgreens. One thing that I'm noticing is that and I'm not sure if this is like the original email or if Google, made it look a little bit crappier, but they use the red, like, Walgreens brand. However, there's some things that aren't quite right. Like the email here looks really strange. One thing is Walgreens is not a brand, it's actually Walgreens. So that's just like pretty easy to spot. But like just the email in general. So don't want to click anything in there. This one is kind of funny because it's like a spam message to stop spam. So, I mean, there are people that hate spam enough to actually do it. This one is saying that my Facebook was logged in from a different device or a new device. And they actually made it kind of look like how Facebook is. So if you know Facebook, they have the blue, very square boxy buttons. So I can see why somebody might fall for that if they're not really paying attention, but it doesn't look official at all. For one thing, the iPhone 11 Pro, the P would be capitalized and so would the P, both P's would be capitalized. And then the email address it's not right at all. And they wouldn't have the picture. So then one more, this one is from Kohl's. Kohl's. And once again, the email is not good. Google doesn't like it. It's pretty much saying it's spam, which is why I put it in the spam folder. They're saying I won some money and all I have to do is a short survey. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but if you hover over this link, there is the button actually directs you to, if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, the URL is storage.googleapphis.com. So I don't know exactly what that does, and I'm not going to try it out, but I'm assuming it downloads something onto your computer, like some sort of malware, ransomware. I don't know. So yeah, they're just some actual examples of something, or just ones that I've received. They went right to my spam folder, so it's not a really big deal, but it's still kind of annoying to get them. But I guess just like a big thing is making sure that you are educated and what phishing is, what it looks like. And I think basically like this is most important for larger companies or people that might be targeted. So corporations or whoever might have anything that a hacker might want. So that has been my presentation on phishing for computer security. Thank you for watching.